Hello, I'm Professor Toybox.
I am the Princess of Arendelle. No, the other one.
And this is Anna.
How are you? I'm good. I'm great, actually.
Great.
Isn't it a beautiful day?
Yes it is. Today we're back in my Atlantis toy box, working on level 2 of my randomly generated dungeon crawling adventure, Return to Atlantis.
When I thought about traveling away from Arendelle, I never imagined any place like this.
It is a unique setting.
I wonder if it snows here.
I have no idea.
You remember the race last time, right? We totally won. Are we gonna race again today? Because that last one was really exciting. Also crazy scary, but also exciting.
No. Maybe later. Today we're going to create a puzzle for the door that leads to level 3. This will be a different kind of puzzle than the pressure plate puzzle that we made before. In the Atlantis movie, they had crystals that powered everything. So this time, the door is going to be made of crystal. And to open it, we need to find 10 crystals that will be randomly scattered around the level.
Okay, that's different. But a good different. No, actually, a great different.
Thanks.
Sorry.
So before we do that, though, I want to show you the progress since last time. And we'll come in here to spark mode. So I finished filling this little area out with the well and the sidekick well. And I filled in the canyon here. I put the mountainous terrain up on the top that we can run around on, which you'll see today. I have a purpose in mind for that. And I went ahead and brought the ground back up and moved those replayers. So if you're following along and building this in your toy box, this layer here is the floor of the tunnels that the well leads down to. And this is the layer for the tunnels that are randomly generated from these replayers and those. You can watch my last video to see how I did that. And then this top section is the canyon, which is blocked by rubble, which forces you to go through those tunnels that are randomly generated. So that's what I've set up there. And then on the other end here of the road, down on this end, I've already configured the gate that we're going to build for our gate puzzle. And I've set up a door similar to what we did with the pressure plate puzzle from an earlier video. For the texture of the block that I'm using for the door, I chose the crystal texture.
Ooh.
And so that will match the crystal collectibles that we're going to use here.
Nice.
And so since I already showed you the pressure plate puzzle door, I don't need to show you how to set that up again, just connecting that block to a path. So now we need some collectibles, and my idea here is that I'm going to scatter 10 collectibles randomly throughout the level, and you need to find those, and when you do, you'll come back here and open up the door.
No way.
So we'll go ahead and get started here. There's a couple of different ways to scatter these crystals throughout the level. One way would be this random object spawner. And I'm not going to use this, but I'll go ahead and show you this. So essentially you can come in here to the properties and you can select which collectible enemy or collectible that you want to spawn. And from here I can go down and find the crystal that I'm going to use for my collectible. There's all the different collectibles are in here. Blue gems, red gems, all of this stuff. And I must have passed my crystal one. There it is, crystal shard collectible. So we could select that and total objects to be generated, the max objects in the world at a time, and setting the generation interval to 0, which means they would all spawn at the same time. Kick this off with the level starter and away we go. And this works. I did play around with this. The downside of this, though, is that it generates them in some strange locations that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. And it also puts things, it can spawn things like way up here where there's no possible way that I could jump to get to them. It did that especially in the tunnels that I had noticed. And unless I had a character that had the super jump capability unlocked, or a flying character, which I'm kind of discouraging my players from using because that will spoil some of the fun, I don't think I want to use that random object generator. And so what I'm going to use instead is a replayer, series of replayers. And we'll do this similar to how I did the key in the very first video. We'd set up 10 of these, and we'd put 10 of those collectibles throughout the level. And the collectibles would be under here under the gameplay toys. And since I already demonstrated that in the first level, I won't set up all 10, but I think I will go ahead and just set up the first replayer here just so that we can demo this. So this will be the collectible that we use, and we can come back in here and we'll go ahead and hit record, step off so I can get into the drawers. And now I can hide these little crystals anywhere I want through the level. And you'll notice they match the door here pretty well. So that kind of ties that together. So I can basically drop these down in some places that make sense and that are easier to reach. Maybe like hide one behind here, over behind this tree. And I want 10 of these. So that would be one. I could stick one up here. Maybe hide it behind this tree. That'd be 2. We'll put one up over here. That would be 3. 4. 5. 6. Maybe stick one down inside the fortress here, maybe behind some of these boxes and things. Or possibly even over, tuck it away behind here. That would be 7. This gives them kind of a reason to go back and explore this area up here. So I'll stick one out here. 8. And we'll zip back over this way and put a couple down in the tunnels. And that'll be the 10 that I would want. And we could stick one back over here. That would be 9.
Good one!
There we go. So now we have our collectibles. Go ahead and stop recording. You can see they disappeared over there. If I hit play, they're back. So now we have the collectibles. Enough of them to test with. And now we'll go ahead and drop down the creativity toys that we need. So the first thing I'm going to want is, I think I'm going to use the pressure plate. I could use a button or something, but I kind of like the way this looks because it blends in so well with the Atlantis theme. So I'm going to drop this down here. And then I'm going to come up here and grab a couple of logic gates. And a text displayer. And we also need a collectible tracker. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the collectible tracker is going to keep track of all of the collectibles, the 10 things that we put down. So we'll come in here, the collectible type, and I don't really have any other collectibles, but just in case we were to, we could set this to specifically check just for the crystal shards. And we're going to select show on radar. And that way, when we come back out, Now you can see they're on the radar. That'll help you kind of find them in this big area. If you wanted for an extra challenge, you could not turn that on. That might be kind of frustrating to have to run through this massive area looking for 10 crystals. Never fails, the last one or two that you're trying to find are really hard to get to. So this way, when they're on the radar, they're easier to find. So now, once you find them all, we can come in here with a new logic connection. When the final findable is collected, I'm going to come over here. I've got 2 logic gates here that I've set. And basically what I want with these are to give me some feedback when I step on this pressure plate. Both of these are going to trigger this text displayer. And so if I have not collected all of the collectibles, I want to tell the user that they don't have all the resources they need to open that door. If they have collected them, then I'll go through this logic gate and go ahead and open the door. So this will need to open and close these gates. So if we use this one for the one that can open the gate, and we use the other one for the message that they haven't collected everything, we'll want to close that one. And the pressure plate won't know the difference, so we'll go ahead and hook up to both of these. And only one of these will be open at a time, so the signal will only go through one of them. So on activated, we'll go ahead and invoke both of these. Whoops, having a hard time selecting that guy. Input. Okay, so if this gate is open, which it will be at the start of the level, we'll set that in a minute. Then we'll go ahead and on output, come over to the text displayer. And there's a few different things we could do here, but I think under defense, the one that kind of made the most sense to me was the out of resources message. And just to make sure the player doesn't miss that, we'll come under properties and set the text style to banner. That'll make it the most readable. Text duration is, I'll go ahead and set that up to 3 just to make it a little bit longer. So if you don't have all the crystal shards and you step on that, that message will kick in. It says out of resources. So then you got to go find the rest of these. If you do step on this, then it'll invoke this one, and this will be open from the collectible tracker. We just hooked that up a moment ago. And so in that case, on output, we'll want to come over here to the path and reset and play. And we can hook up a sound effect for that as well, like we did with the pressure plate puzzle from an earlier video. And I think that should be just about everything. The last thing I want to do is set the initial states of these logic gates when we first start the level. And I'm still using a trigger area back here for right now. Eventually I will use the level starter. But for right now, this kind of makes things easy to test and retest without having to exit out of the game and come back through level 1 and get back to this point just to initialize it. So under here, when exited by player any, we'll go ahead and close that gate, the logic gate that connects to the crystal gate. Got so many gates here I got to keep track of which one I'm talking about so I don't confuse you. So initially when we start, we're going to close that gate. So that way if we step on this plate without having collected everything, it'll try to send the signal through here and it won't go. And likewise, you want to make sure that other one is open. I like the way this level looks. It's kind of linear, but it's really turned out well, I think. I'm kind of eager to run through this in its entirety, which we're going to do in another video, or maybe two. Okay, new logic connection when exited by player any. We'll go ahead and open that other logic gate. Do 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 do. And make sure that's open. Okay, so the gates are set. Pressure plate is hooked up. Text displayer is hooked up. Collectible tracker is hooked up. And we have collectibles. Sweet. Okay, now just to test this, I'm going to go ahead and set this over here. Whoops. Collectible tracker. Oh, final collectible, because I had... Well, I don't want to have Anna go through and collect all of these.
Wait, what?
So what we can do, since there's no count on that, come back over here, erase that, and we'll just drop one down here. And that way it'll make this relatively easy to test, is what I'm thinking. Okay, so we have one collectible. We haven't collected any yet, so if we step on this... okay.
Ooh.
That's interesting. Did not expect that to happen.
Not my fault!
Guess we're going to need a button to go ahead and stop that. New logic connection when pressed. Come over here to this. I think I forgot to set the reset and stop. Forgot to set the properties on the door. That's easy enough to do. Alright, so that reset that.
Okay, so that was freakishly weird.
When I set up this door ahead of time, I forgot to come in here on the door and set the path properties. Speed should be 125. And movement style should not be loop, it's one way and stop. There we go, so that'll take care of that. And now this, oh, because I did not initialize that gate. Because I didn't run through the start area, both gates are open. That's what happened. That's easy enough to tweak just for demoing here. So instead of running all the way back over there, when I press this to reset everything, let's just go ahead and close this gate. Oops. Okay, so now, there we go. Okay, so let's try this again. The joys of working with programming. Okay, so we have not collected that final collectible. So we step on this. And that's saying more than I thought it would say. So I might have to tweak that message. But the door did not open. So now we come over and pick this up. We could play a special sound effect when we pick up the last one of these. And now we come over here. And the door opens. So that's the puzzle. And instead of just the one, of course, there'll actually be 10. But that gets the point across. So subscribe to my channel or sign up on my blog to see what we do next as we continue this series. You'll find logic diagrams and build tips on my blog for the different challenges that we create. And hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.